Anna's story is a really good story for people who want to learn English. The language level starts at intermediate. With each episode, there is more vocabulary and grammar, so your English will get better and better.
Do you remember the last episode? Anna, Jean-Paul and Tutu, Mrs. Greenford and Jack go looking for Marta and the ruby necklace. Anna's Story, Episode 5, A Long Day, Part 2. They arrived in Croydon. So many high buildings, thought Anna. So many windows, so many people, so much traffic. She wasn't sure if she liked Croydon. They parked in the car park and walked to Topshop. So windy here, and cold. Where is the sun? Jean-Paul decided to leave Tutu outside Topshop because Tutu is very big and he didn't want Marta to see them. So Jean-Paul left Tutu by the door with Jack. Jack was pleased to help and to be with Tutu. Jean-Paul, Mrs. Greenford and Anna walked into Topshop quietly. But then, oh no! Tutu started barking and barking.
Woof, 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 woof.
Everybody looked at Tutu and at Jack. Anna was horrified. If Marta sees Tutu and Jack, she will know, she thought. But they couldn't see Marta. They asked the people who worked in the shop, but nobody knew Marta. Polish, said Mrs. Greenford. Black and red dress, said Anna. Long legs, said Jean-Paul. No, never seen her, the assistant said. How strange, thought Anna, Jean-Paul and Mrs. Greenford. Maybe she's lying about her Topshop job, thought Anna. Maybe she's lying about her Topshop job, said Jean-Paul and Mrs. Greenford. Anna didn't know the word lying before, but now she understood it. What now? Said Jack. Mrs. Greenford wanted to have a coffee and cake and talk about what to do. Jack wanted a big burger from Burger House. Mrs. Greenford said, no, no, no. Jack started crying. They started walking to a nice coffee shop that Mrs. Greenford knew. As they passed a burger house, Jack stopped and started shouting, I want a big burger! Again and again, louder and louder. Burger House is not bad, said Anna, trying to make Jack happy. But Mrs. Greenford and Jean-Paul decided it was bad and continued walking. Anna was pleased, because really she wanted a coffee and cake. But Jack was still crying and shouting, and then banging on the window. What a difficult child, thought Anna. Suddenly he stopped. Marta! He shouted. Anna, Mrs. Greenford and Jean-Paul ran back to Burger House. Mum, said Jack, really excited. Marta's working in Burger House, and it was nice of you to give her your special red necklace. Anna was so pleased that Jack had seen the necklace, because when Anna, Mrs. Greenford and Jean-Paul went into Burger House, she wasn't wearing it. They all knew she had hidden it. They went to the counter where Marta was serving burgers, chips and cokes. Where is my necklace, Marta? Said Mrs. Greenford. I know you have it. Mrs. Greenford didn't shout. Her face wasn't red. Marta's eyes went wide with surprise. She smiled and said in a calm voice, Hello, Mrs. Greenford. How nice to see you. And you, Jack. I've missed you. Would you like a big burger? I know you like them. Oh, yes, please, said Jack. I miss you too. Jack, said Mrs. Greenford, that's not helpful. And you looked beautiful in Mummy's necklace. Where is it now? Mrs. Greenford smiled at Jack. Thank you, Jack, that was helpful. You can have a big burger after Marta gives me back the necklace. To Marta, she said, If you give me back the necklace, I won't go to the police. If you do not leave the shop, Mrs. Greenford, I will call the manager and he will throw you out. But then the manager came to see why the queue was so long. These people are making a problem and I can't serve the customers, said Marta to the manager. Mrs. Greenford told the manager about the necklace. And what was the necklace like? Asked the manager. It's a ruby, with diamonds round it on a silver chain. It's lovely, it's expensive, and it was a present from my husband. The manager turned to Marta and said, You were wearing a ruby necklace this morning. We all saw it. Where is it?" Now Marta was in a very difficult situation. Anna felt sorry for her, but not too sorry. "You did it, Marta," she thought. "You made your own problem. What are you going to do now?" Marta was silent. "OK," said Mrs. Greenford, and she took her phone out of her bag, ready to call the police. "Here is your necklace," shouted Marta. She took the necklace from her pocket and threw it at Mrs. Greenford. "And here is your job." She took off her Burger House uniform, with difficulty because her shoes were very high, and threw it at the manager. The black and red dress is so nice, thought Anna. "I can get a better job than this." She shouted some more. "Yes, top shop," said Anna, pleased, because that was a clever thing to say when you don't have much English. Jean-Paul looked at Anna and smiled. Marta started to walk out of Burger House with her head high, but, as we know, her shoes were also high, and she fell into a customer who was carrying chips and a Coke. The Coke went over Marta's black and red dress. The chips went over the customer. The customer shouted. Anna and Jean-Paul laughed. Mrs. Greenford smiled quietly. Jack laughed loudly. The manager apologized to all the customers and opened the door for Marta. But then Tutu came running in and ate all the chips from the floor. The customers laughed. Jean-Paul tried to take Tutu out of the shop, but he didn't want to go. Anna thought this was the funniest thing she had ever seen, and she laughed and laughed with Jack all the way back to the car. Jack had forgotten about the big burger. What a long day, but it's not finished yet.
Thank you for watching Anna's story. To find regularly updated episodes, please visit our YouTube account and our Facebook page, Anna's Story.